us again. Hello, hello, hello. Hi. It's us, the
Jgirls.
Once again, we are here on another beautiful broadcast from our beautiful city, Edinburgh. And we have a lovely guest coming on the show today. But before we introduce our guest to you, we'll see you in a bit. We're back and we've been talking about house rules, and recently we've been bringing up other guests that have been telling us about their house rule. Today's girls is another special person to us, and she's coming all the way from another city. She's going to introduce herself, and I'm just going to ask our dear lovely friend to come on board as she introduces herself. And our show is getting to know all about you, and so we want you to just tell us everything about you, what you are, who you are, what you like, what you hate, anything you can tell us. Just spit it out.
Okay, so hi everyone. Hi Jgirls. Hi June. How are you guys doing? Okay, glad to be here. My name is Kachi. That's a long name. Some people call me Onye, some call me Kachi, so whichever suits you. Okay. A safety engineer by profession. I'm a mother of 3. My first is 12, number 2 is 10, and my wee boy, not we anymore, he's 6. And yeah, of course I'm happily married to my husband. His name is Zubi. Yeah. What else do you want to know?
Girls, do you have any other question you want to ask Auntie at this point?
Where did you grow up?
Where did I grow up? Good question. I grew up in a town called Owerri in Nigeria, in Imo State, Nigeria. So I lived the first nearly 30 years of my life in Nigeria before I came to the UK. Yeah.
Okay, what else?
What's your favorite food?
It used to be plantain for many years, but now I think my favorite food is eba and vegetable soup. Nice vegetable soup.
Yeah. Okay, I had a very special encounter with Oyin while she came in as a student. Back then, she was a savior to me at one point. I was stranded and I ran to her and she welcomed me to her home. So I can't forget. Thank you so
I remember
much.
we were roommates. I was going to say flatmates. We were roommates for a number of months, and it was fun.
All right, so that's very good. Thank you so much. And little J, do you want to ask Auntie the next question?
So what are the house rules you grew up with?
What are the house rules you grew up with?
House rules that I grew up with. There are a number of them. Funny enough, growing up, we never really had, you know how you would have house rules on the wall or something. We didn't have that, but people just knew what was expected of them to do. Some, parents communicated it, but some, it was just... But by just being a part of the Kelechiku household, you know exactly what is expected of you, you know? My parents were quite strict. My dad is very strict, and my mom also maybe not quite as strict as my dad. But yeah, we had some rules. Number 1, you had to tell the truth, no matter the situation. Even if you're going to get in trouble for telling the truth, just tell the truth anyway.
Did you see her face? Okay, what else?
And I think another one, if we had visitors in the house, I remember then maybe somebody, it's a bit different. Girls, you may not relate with this. Here, you know, when people want to come, they inform you they were coming, they will phone mom or dad and say, oh, we're coming, you know. But back home where I grew up, people just turn up. The house had to be always on point. There would never be a point where you would come in and things are not in place. So that was an unspoken rule in my house. And then if a guest came around, you showed your face, greeted them, and you disappeared. You could not be in the lounge hanging around. When there was a guest at home, that was an unspoken rule. You just come and say hello auntie, hello uncle, and that you disappeared. Except mommy or daddy calls you.
If you try and stay around, it's I that will instruct you. If you stay
I know. My mom or dad didn't have to say anything. Like Helen said, like June said, they would just look at you. Just the look tells you everything. Yeah.
Or when you give visitors food and you stay around and the visitors say, come and take. Hey, you don't even stay around. You don't stay around before they say come and take. It's not nowadays when visitors are around, you just see kids staying around, even taking the biscuits from the plates in front of the visitor. You're like, now wow, this is
I know, you dare not. Even if they offered you, even if you were dying to have a taste of it, you just say, oh no, thank you, I'm fine. Because you know what awaits you if you dare.
Oh, growing up, it's not for there.
Don't bring things home that don't belong to you.
Yeah.
You know, maybe from school or all that. Yeah, you can never bring things home. Well, if there was a mistake and you took something, the next day you're getting it back. If my mom sees it again, then you're in trouble.
Did you remember when you brought pencil to the house? I said, where did you get this pencil from? She said she saw it in school. I said, the same place you saw it. So yeah, Tefi, take it back. Nothing that does not belong to you stay in this house. So yeah, it's where the rules came from. It's growing up.
And I think another one too that I quite remember well is I didn't realize it was anything special or unique until I went for youth service. Girls, I'm sure mommy can tell you about youth service. It's something you do back home in my country. When you finish school, when you finish university, you do a year of service to your country. So yeah. So like I was saying, this rule in my house, I didn't realize it was anything unique until I went for service here. And my roommate was really, really surprised that I told people where I was going. So in my house, if you were going out, you can't just go out without telling someone where you're going. And you can't say I'm going to point A and then from A you went to B and C. If you're going to A, B, and C, at the point of leaving, you must tell that I'm going to A. From A, I'll go to B. From B, I'll go to C, and I'll be back. So when I went for service and I used to tell my when I'm helping, I'll be like, oh, I'm going there, and then I'll be like, why are you telling me? And it was then I realized, okay, this doesn't happen in every home. I thought it was normal everywhere, but yeah, apparently it was something different. So she was really, really surprised that I told people I'm going there and there. Mom always used to say, if you said you were going to point A and something happened in point C, we would think we have no business with it because as far as we're aware, no family member is in point C. And if you end up in point C, we wouldn't know, you were in trouble because it wasn't part of your plan. So yeah, I just grew up with that. Even now as an adult, going shopping, I tell my husband I'm going to Aldi and Lidl and blah, blah, those are the points I'm going to touch. Of course, now it's different. I have a phone. So even if plans change, I'll phone and say, oh, by the way, I'm entering TK Maxx. It wasn't in the plan, but I'm going there,
So any other rules you can remember off your head?
Yeah, I think another one would be this rule of if anyone, there's something in the Bible that says something about if anyone doesn't work, let him not eat. So my mom believes you've got to do your work. So waking up in the morning, everybody had their task before school. I mean, I tell my children now, when I was growing up, you had to hoover the house, you have to sweep the house every morning before you went to school. It's part of the work. You wake up, you tidy up, you clean the house. And yeah, they hoover once a week on Saturdays. That's when they get to hoover. And sometimes it's still I feel it's a big task. And I'm like, we do this every morning when we're growing up. So if you don't finish your work, you don't even come near the kitchen for food. You just know that. Wake up, do our prayers in the morning, everybody gets to their work, tidy up what you're supposed to do, your little bit, and then have your food. Same on Saturday, everybody had their work. Once you finish breakfast, you're finishing your work before lunchtime. Of course, if you haven't finished your work, you won't even be nearing the lunch table because it's unspoken anyway. Everywhere has to be.
Oh, yeah. So, girls and all the kids listening out there, it seems as if it's something cumbersome when we ask them to do it. It's just what we grew up with. And one of the reasons we are doing this program is because there is a gap between understanding parents that come from Africa and that live here and trying to raise up their kids. So many things are different for us, and our kids sometimes don't understand where we are coming from, and they think, oh, my parents are too strict. It's just because that's the way we grew up. And so it's putting sentiment aside. We didn't grow up with mommy doing everything in the house. We grew up with like a community doing everything. It's like it was like in a training school kind of for your own future. So thank you for that, and good recollections of your house rule. And based on the question you wonderfully answered for us, Big J, can you answer the next question?
How have your house rules influenced you?
How has the house rules, how have they influenced you today as an adult?
I think think they've kind of made me who I am in many ways. Just like the conversation we were having, telling the truth, being diligent in things, appreciating little things, because back then we appreciate things. I think there's something about this generation that children kind of feel entitled. I mean, growing up, sometimes I look at my kids' room and their wardrobes and I'm like, I couldn't dream. As a child, I wouldn't have dreamt children would have this number of clothes and shoes. I mean, I had just one school shoe, maybe one church shoe, and a few dresses. We used to get maybe clothes. Mom or dad might buy one, but usually it's like Christmas, you get a new dress, a proper new dress every Christmas. It's appreciating little things. I think the culture I grew up in just made me appreciate little things, and also a sense of community. Just that thing of having people around you that you can relate to. So how has it influenced me? I think somehow, definitely what you affect and influence you. Sometimes you're not even aware, but it's the building block that you have. Most of the things you're going to put in place in your home comes from the things you experienced growing up as well. So I think it has kind of influenced my own expectations of my children as well, and the things I try to inculcate in them, if that makes sense. Always. In fact, my dad used to say something, I never forget this. He says, if you tell a lie, then you would need many other lies to support it. So, okay, thankfully I have a pencil in my hand. Can you see my pencil? Yeah. So he would say, if this was something that happened and you tell a lie, that over time that lie starts bending, then you need another lie to push it up. After a while it starts bending that way, you put another lie on that side to put it up. So by the time you know, you've told 7 lies to support the one lie that you told, and then you have to, it's a lot of work trying to remember what you said the first time so that you don't contradict yourself, you know. So that's one thing I always remember. Sometimes when I'm in situations where I'm like, you know what, no matter, you just tell the truth. It just saves you a whole lot of hassle. It may not look good then, it may be that you just own up and let's end there. You know, you just stress less. It gives you peace in your life. So yeah, I learned that growing up. And also just the bit about telling people where you're going, I think is a good thing for your safety. I know I was talking about my roommate during service here. I think that kind of brought us closer and a bit of respect from her, you know. She's like, you trust people a lot. Can you tell everybody where you're going, you know? So for me, I think I'm able to trust people, of course, with wisdom. At that point, we were in a strange land anyway, so if anything was happening, she would be the person that anybody would say, okay, where is she? It makes sense to me for her to know where I was going. So if anything happened, she would say, oh, you went there. Even now, I still try to do that with my children and my husband. Just keep them posted with what's going on.
And you know, on a practical note, nowadays that rule is so important because of a lot of misdemeanor that is happening worldwide. You understand? So kids are not as safe as they used to be back then. Although there were horrible things happening then, but the amount of kidnapping or the amount of things that are happening, it has gone into multiple fold. So it's better if kids are reminded that wherever they are going to, especially when they are getting to teenage age and they can go out on their own. Very important rule. Doesn't just end with our generation. It's very important that you take that on board. If you tell mommy you'll be with A, stay with A. If you are going to B, stay with B. Because number one, not only does it keep you safe, it also builds trust between you and your parents. So your parents will say, oh, that girl, that's where she would be. Thank you for that. And we're really encouraged by that. So girls, all the aunties we've been inviting have been saying the same thing. It's for your own good, right? Keep the house rules. All right. So I'm going to give you the next question. Now that you told us the house rule you grew up with, and we've seen how that house rule have trailed your growing up and influenced you. So, Auntie Oyin, how has your own house, what are the house rules you are using or you are using to build your, because there's a lot of disparity and there's a lot of change between where you grew up and where you are now. Can you reconcile what are the house rules you use presently?
Yeah, good point you made about difference between where I grew up and where I am currently. Although some things will never change, some things are very fundamental. The rule about telling the truth, nothing changes it. It doesn't matter what generation you are, what background you are from. The truth is the truth, and the truth sets you free. So yeah, that's a rule I have in my own house. Even if you got in trouble at the end of it, if you did something and it's really bad, you did it, still tell the truth. You would have more freedom knowing that you just told the truth. Your mind is clear, the burden isn't there, you're not hiding anything. Even if you get a consequence for what you did, you would still be proud of yourself. I think it takes a lot of boldness to tell the truth. It takes a lot of courage to tell the truth. So yeah, that's one rule we have in my house. That doesn't mean it's always kept, but times when they are violated, we still have the conversation and we understand why we have that rule there. We also have a rule about being polite. Everybody is supposed to be polite. Say your thank you, say your praises, be polite always. There's no room for meanness and people being rude and disrespectful. What other rules do we have? You treat others how you want to be treated. Show love. Be very extravagant with love. Lots of hugs, lots of kisses, and yeah, just be family. Just relax. Just enjoy yourself. And of course, work before play as well. So if you had homework to do, you shouldn't be asking me if you can watch TV or go do something on the tablet or watch something or play a game. People know that you finish off your work and then we have time to relax and do the fun things. We're open to negotiation. That's a rule we have. People can negotiate but obey first. So say you're watching TV and we say, okay, turn the TV off, it's time to go to bed, or yeah, time is up. Don't sit there watching the TV saying to me, oh, but can we make a move? Stand up or something, obey, start start the act of obedience, and then you can say, okay, mom, but can we have 10 more minutes, So yeah, negotiation is allowed, but obey in the case of it. And if at the end of the day, mommy or daddy says with reason, no, you can't have that. Yeah, that stands. Somebody said something recently that I kind of bought. It was funny. She says in her home that there's human right, but there's no equal right. That isn't equal right. And I found that really funny. Yeah, that's a really nice one. Yes, that's human right. We treat everybody with respect, but there's no equal right. Parents will still be parents, children will be children. So yeah, that's one I'm going to add to the house rules. I took a note of that. I'm like, yeah, I should add that. That's a really smart one. Of course, there would always be a consequence for not obeying the house rules to children, and we try to make the consequence related to the offense. So yeah, What house rule do we have? Oh, I think this one. Don't waste food. No food goes in the bin. It's okay not to like something. You will like everything mommy makes, that's guaranteed. But try it, and beyond trying it, just eat it anyway.
She said, and drink it. Anytime I make smoothie, I don't have a problem. Big J don't have a problem. But small little J is like an uphill journey. Okay, I have a question from you. Based on what Auntie just narrated about her house rule, can you tell us what she said about her house rule that is different from her house rule? Can you see that mom or any other mom, because you don't go to people's house, the grass always seems greener at the other side, but behind closed doors you don't know how people operate in their home. That is why it's important that you should respect your home and respect the house rules that are established there. Because if Auntie didn't come on this program and tell us exactly those house rules, honesty, respect each other, love each other, obedience, these are the house rules that is plastered in our kitchen, right? Those 12 words. And that's exactly what you just mentioned, but from a different perspective with different words. Can you see it doesn't make any difference wherever you go? If you are raising up kids with the same principle, it might be mentioned differently in other places, but it's still the same principle. So that shows that little J, big J, fundamentally, these are the same house rules that binds a house together. So little J, you're just going to quickly answer the next question because we want her to keep the energy going. Okay, what's the next question?
What inspires you to keep going?
What inspires you to keep going?
What inspires me to keep going? That's a beautiful question, little J. Thank you. I would think so. In the context of what we're talking about, in the context of raising the children, keeping house rules, and all that. So for me, the first thing is, maybe one thing to mention is my faith is a fundamental part of my being. So the first thing for me is it's a privilege to be a parent. It's a big responsibility from God. It's a privilege from God. So I do not want to disappoint God, who has given me this privilege and the responsibility of raising the next generation. That inspires me. And also the community, whatever our society is going to become tomorrow, would be a product of what we do in home. So community is made up of individuals from homes. The nation is made up of individuals from homes. So if we all in our little corners raise our children to be responsible, then we would all have a responsible society. So for me, I'm looking at the goal. I'm looking at what I want our world to be like. There's so many things not functioning as they should, just because people have a foundation that isn't as solid or as good as it should be. So in that sense, I want to raise children that will grow up to be responsible and add their bit to the community. And I'm hoping that even the parents around me, that we can all support each other to raise that generation such that we wouldn't have so much concern about the world our children will live in. There would always be people who would do their own thing, but if we do our bit, at least we can be confident and just trust God that He would do the rest. I think also my parents did their bit in raising me to be who I am today, so I owe it to my own children. That's the whole point of being a parent, I owe it to my own children to raise them up to be responsible people as well. What else inspires me?
You just told us before we started recording that you were coming from a football coaching session.
Yeah, I still got my football.
You can imagine the amount of kids you are influencing in that niche where you are. Because
just to say, my husband is the coach. I just hang around to help whatever picking up the balls, helping put up nets. I love that.
So you see, the thing is, you are also influencing the kids in that niche, and it goes beyond. You don't know the child you are going to change his perspective or perspective to life just because of your presence that is there. And so you are picking up the baton from your parents, and you are also going for the next generation, for the next people. And like you said, I'm really happy that things are not the way we grew up, but we can always live a life for the next generation. And we believe that if we raise up kids right, they will be the torch bearer for the next, even if everything is falling apart. We are hoping that our kids and the kids that are listening to us that are being changed by this program will be the next torch bearer for the next generation. I'm really glad that is your inspiration, and I'm honored by it. Your life has inspired me, and you know where I'm coming from. And so I can say that you are an inspiration to many other people and many other kids around you, and an inspiration to these girls. Thank you for saying that. Obey first before you give your own option, because you can. I don't know why they do that. So thank you so much. In terms of your career, how has your growing up influenced your career?
Okay, so how has my environment influenced my career choice? Looking back, I didn't think about this until very recently. I think I have this thing of wanting to do what people believe maybe girls particularly shouldn't be doing. I wouldn't say I'm a feminist, but I don't know, because I was just thinking about it. One of the things that inspired me to do engineering was just because people believed it was a boys thing, and I was like, why would it be a boys thing? That was one of the major things that made me say, okay, if you think girls can do it, I will do it. I also remember in church growing up as a youth group, there was a time we had the opportunity to kind of everybody to learn an instrument, and most of the girls were like, we're going to do piano, and I went for drums. And I'm like, it was just recently I was asking myself, why did I go for drums? I think it was just that thing of, why can't a girl do this? Why would it just be the boys drumming? And I learned to drum. So yeah, I think growing up in a place where I feel inspired, or I felt my parents inspired us that you can do anything, you can be whatever you decide to be with God's help. That also kind of helped me with my career choice.
Thank you. Perfect. So can you tell us now? Ask your question.
No, please can you tell us about your hero?
My hero, Jesus is my hero. Yeah, that's my number one hero. But if you're talking about a human hero, I would say my dad. My dad is someone that has inspired me. He's my, I would say my parents, but my dad particularly. What about him?
If you meet Auntie's dad, it's like an angel.
To meet your mom.
Okay, my mom is the same. Yes. Okay, let's listen to her.
He's such an inspiration to me. Allowed us to aim high. Just you can do, Philippians 4:13. That's the Bible. I talked about my faith earlier. So Philippians 4:13 is a verse in the Bible, and it says you can do all things through Christ who gives you strength. So that's one thing he kind of built in us, that you're able to do whatever you set your mind to do with God's help. I think the other thing about him is just his contentment. My dad is somebody that is so content with what he has and where he is. That didn't mean he didn't strive to do things or to achieve great things. He went almost to the top of his career path, but he's one person that whatever was happening around or is happening around, I'm saying was because he's retired now, he's a lot more relaxed and not, hustling that much. So when I say was, it's just like talking about his active, very active days, that people were building a certain kind of house or buying a certain kind of cars, and he was in that cadre of directors, and other directors are doing this, are doing that. It never bothered him. He was just happy with what he had, and he would take his own time and do his own thing at his own pace. He's also a person of integrity. When my dad told you yes, even if you examined it 1,001 times, you can be sure it is yes. And he's not someone that would be pushed into doing things he didn't want to do. And people knew it, so they wouldn't even bother. Like in his office, when they wanted to do something shady, they wouldn't come near him because they know it's a no-no. So he set that mark already that they don't bother, they just know. So he inspires me so much in that aspect. And there's so many other things, but just that thing of being who you are, being content, being a person of integrity. A good name is better than silver and gold, he would always say. And that made ways for us. Even, growing up, I would go into places, and when you said your name, maybe you went to pick a form for something and you say your name, just the last and be like, oh, are you the child of so? I'll be like, yeah. And just that opened doors for us in some places, just because he was such a person of integrity, and he was a minister as well. So that combined both his professional path and him being a minister as well, just all.
Oh, good. Thank you. I'm not going to add anything there, because as they are hearing, they know the drum I drum in the house every day. I just mentioned everything. Just said, So thank you so much. Your dad is just like a reflection of my mom, mirror to mirror. And thank you for godly heritage and for people that raised us up to carry the banner forth. And I hope that we'll be able to pass the same banner to our children, because it's supposed to be from one generation to another generation. And on that note, we'll just ask you, based on all these things you've been telling us, what advice do you have for our kids? As a summary, just give us that nugget that we'll use to spotlight they're supposed to be. Next step. Oh, you can talk.
What I would like to say to you children is you have greatness on the inside of you. A lot in you that you can't even imagine. God has put so much in you, and he has put your parents in your life to help guide you. I know children come to a point where they begin to feel like they know more than their parents and they can just take decisions, but your parents are there for a reason. Listen to them, negotiate with them where you need to. And just going back again to something about children honoring their mother and their father, their parents, pretty much such that they will have a long, full life. God and your parents put boundaries around you for a reason. It's not because parents don't love you. When we have boundaries around you, it's because we want to keep you safe and secure. A child without boundaries is lost. Yeah, I've seen, even growing up, I had a few friends who, when I went to their houses, they just did whatever they wanted, and I felt at that time that they were very fortunate. They can just do whatever they want. They just go to the fridge and take anything. And in my house, you have to tell my mom. And I thought, why do we have to tell mommy? But growing up now, I realized that those were good. They make you responsible. And some of those friends, when I look at how they turned out, I'm like, no, I'm glad I had the parents I had. Yeah. So children, just know your parents love you. Nobody can love you really more than your parents. They mean the best for you. We may not always do it right because we're all learning on the go. Yeah. We've never been parents before. There's no script for parents. You don't go to do some university. So, I I know there's no parenting manual, so we do what we believe is best for you. Sometimes we make mistakes, yes, but it's all with the best intention. So yeah, listen to your parents. You can be anything that you want to be, but God has put parents there to guide you. So when you work in cooperation with your parents, you think things turn out better. Okay, and don't let anybody make you believe you can't do anything, because whatever you set your heart to do, you are able to achieve.
And in addition to what Auntie is saying, I know there are some kids that have bad parents. We won't actually take that out. And there are kids that don't have parents at all. Okay, so the kids that don't have parents, my advice is there's always somebody around. There's always a mentor around. There's always somebody you can look out to. Look around for somebody. It could be somebody in the school. It could be somebody in your community. It could be somebody that you've seen that have shown a bit of forthrightness or shown all these rules and principles we've been talking about. Look up to them and let them be your mentor. I know a lot of kids that have gone wayward and have gone off court has been because they don't have that parental guidance, or they don't have that parent that have. I know there are some that have good parents that have taken the decision to go off the court, but there are people in the community, football coaches like you and your husband can mentor kids. That's
like my husband.
Yes. Stop it. Like your husband can mentor it out there and to show them the same principle. So we don't want to just give an umbrella advice that all parents are good. I'm really sorry. I don't think that is fundamental.
So that's a good point you've made. Yeah, we can't assume. We know, sadly, that there are parents there who aren't as responsible as they should be for many reasons.
Yeah.
So yes, for such children, there would be a responsible adult in your life somewhere, from school. If you were in a church, there would be maybe some of your youth coordinators or children coordinators. There would be somebody that you can speak to or trust that that would provide some guidance for you. Just my point is, work with them, cooperate with them. Don't be a rebellious child wherever you find yourself. They may not make sense sometimes, but just listen out and think about the suggestions or the things they're asking you to do. At the end of the day, you may not take it, but you would have learned something. You'd have seen another angle to it. So yes, let's cooperate with adults in our life, because they can see much farther than we can see. My mom would say something. She would say that what an adult sees sitting down, that if a child went on tippy toes, you wouldn't even still see it. So
let's flip that. They will say in my own place that no matter how you try to buy new clothes or buy clothes as much as an adult, you can never have rags as that adult.
Yeah.
So that you
the years of experience. Yeah.
So that means that there's a years of experience that you cannot, no matter how smart you are, you come and outsmart your mom that this is what I want to do, this is what I want to be, this is what I want to change into. No, it doesn't work like that. You need to press down, because you don't see 30 years. You're at least your parents at least 20 years ahead of you. You don't see 20 years and you don't know what you will be in 20 years. It's good to take that advice. And so kids, do you have any other thing you want to say to Auntie? No. Too much. You feel loaded. And so we want to thank you so much, Auntie Onyi, for coming on this broadcast, and you shared your wisdom and your nuggets with us. We really appreciate it. And we are going on board, myself and the kids, we are going to become inspirations and to aspire to be bigger things from here on. And so we want to say thank you for all our audience. Thank you for all your patience to listen to us and to share your thoughts. If you have any comment, kindly get back to us. We want any questions you have, get back to us. You can like our channel, you can comment, you can tell us exactly what you disagree with, and we'll tell you our fundamental reasons why we do things or why we parent the way we do, because I know there are different kind of parenting, but this is who we are and this is what we do, so that we'll be able to bridge the gap between being Scottish and being African. That is exactly why we are here, so that our kids want to
take the best of both worlds.
Exactly, our kids will understand where we are coming from. And so on this note, we want to say thank you, and we would see you next time on another broadcast. And girls, say bye.